Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Runway. Today, Mom and I are going to be talking about some practical tips for new and aspiring models on where to invest your time and money.
Absolutely, really important to get started. Where do you invest? And that's some of the questions that we hear right away is, well, how much is this going to cost me? What do I do? How do I get started? And it's so important to work with really talented photographers right from the beginning to get those important photos so that you can start to be marketed. Whether you're marketing yourself as a freelance or whether you're relying on an agency, those photos are so important. So finding someone who is in the business as a fashion photographer, who has a team and who knows people who know people.
Yeah.
Right? It's just everything is connected in this business, and starting there is key.
Yeah, and something we teach in our model masterclass is how your photos are your currency, right? Mm-hmm. Like in this industry, your photos are everything. They are what tell your story. They are what market you. They are what push you forward as a model. So making sure that those initial photos are the best of the best. They're the best they can possibly be for that first initial photo shoot. And I think that's where it really comes down to when you're looking for a photographer. As tip number one, the number one thing you start with is finding that fashion photographer. Mom always says, you could have a friend who shoots weddings or
birds.
Maybe even a bird photographer, and they're an incredible bird photographer. But if they're not a fashion photographer,
you're gonna look like you're a bird.
You're gonna,
that's just normal. It's not their fault. They could be the best National Geographic photographer on the planet, but if they're not connected to fashion, then the stories don't translate.
Yeah.
And it's not about having 50 photos either. This is a misconception. Everybody thinks, how many photos should I have? That's a question we get all the time. Should I have 20, 30, 40 photos? And the reality is that you need 5, 10 maybe, but they have to be spot on. So you don't want to fill your book or fill your marketing material with a ton of stuff. You need 5, 10 fabulous photos.
Yes, absolutely. It's that quality over quantity.
Definitely.
Because if you have, 50 mediocre photos, it actually ends up watering down your image, right? It actually ends up taking away from the beauty that is your image, and it starts to water it down and takes away from it. And what you want to do is you want to give to it. You want to have it very almost exclusively beautiful and exclusively fashion.
And keep that interest going. Mm-hmm. I know when I was a client and booking models, because I also did that, and at that time we had books, by the time I hit number 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd made up my mind.
Yeah.
By the time, and if you keep going to 25, and now the photos some are great, some are not great, you get lost in the not great.
Yeah.
So keep it great. And even on your Instagram, we see this a lot, where models are posting photos, but some of them are quite weak. So it's like, well, if I book this person, am I going to get the amazing or am I going to get the weak model that day? So it's incredible. It's really important to keep those photos as high end as you can.
Yeah. And I think number 2 tip is really knowing where that time investment should be going, right? So when it comes to money investment, absolutely. Number 1, an incredible photographer. Your team. And a time investment is looking like getting to your castings. It's looking like making those connections. So if you choose to go the agency route or you choose to go the freelancer route, whichever way you go, it's about making those connections and putting in the time to becoming and embodying what a model is, right? And that is fashion, and that is beautiful photography, and it's getting into the creativity of this industry.
Totally. And so many people think that once you sign with an agency, that's it. Woohoo, I'm done. I can sit back, drink lattes. Not the way it is. So we have to invest the time in building our business.
Yeah.
And the more people who get to know you and know that you're a professional, the more that they're going to book you automatically. So then that time starts to even out. But the legwork in the beginning is almost 100% you.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. And then the agency starts to kick in, or the clients, or the people that you know if you're going the freelance route. So time is just as much of an investment as the finances. And again, when you're looking at booking a photographer, when we say team, what we mean is someone who has a makeup artist, a stylist, a whole team around to help you get those great photos.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. We suggest that for all of our new models
Always.
because it takes the pressure off of you to show up with your clothes, your makeup, and it allows you to just focus on your job, which is, you know, getting that amazing photo, getting the practice, getting the experience. And so we always suggest having a team with your first photo shoot.
Because you're going to be nervous enough, right? Without having to drag clothing and trying to figure out your makeup. Plus, makeup artists are so much more adventurous than we are on our, you know, if I had to do my own makeup, which I do, it's going to be the same that I did last week, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a makeup artist in the business who knows what's happening is going to transform you, not just make you you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when we come back to, you know, your time investment, that's often where we lose beautiful talent. You know, someone who has so much potential and someone who could make it so well in this industry. When you're looking at the time investment and actually putting in the legwork, we always say pounding the pavement.
Yes.
Because you're actually, you know, when you're in Europe, you're literally pounding the pavement. You're walking to all of your castings.
Get those steps.
Yeah, you've got 7-8 castings in a day, and you're walking the city. So it's pounding the pavement. It's putting in that legwork, and that's where when you know that that's ahead of you, you can prepare for it, and you can say, okay, it might take some time, but in the end, I'm going to build a clientele. I'm going to build a beautiful career for myself, and that's where the sustainability of the career comes in.
Yeah, and you build your brand, and people start to know your brand, and they start, which we can talk about at another time about that whole branding. But the photographers, the clients, the agent, everybody starts to trust the brand, and then that's where, yes, you're still going to always do legwork. That's part of the business, but you're going to do a little bit less than in the beginning. Yeah. And it's also really important to remember that it is a fashion business. It's not fashion, I'm going to sit on my bum. You know, it's not. It's a business, just like any other business that you open up. If you're going to open up an ice cream shop, or you're going to open up no matter what, that first year, 2 years is going to be pretty much the onus is on you to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at time and money investments, those are some really, really key things to start to think about, right?
Yeah.
What connections are you making, regardless of if you decide to go an agency route or a freelance route? I think those connections are really important, because it's a small business, right? We think it's this massive, glamorous business, but in fact, everybody knows everybody.
Knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody, just like it's, you know, the world's biggest small town. It really is.
Yeah.
And so if you get in with a beautiful photographer, they might know someone who you can shoot with, and then they might know someone who knows someone who can get you starting to roll, right? Getting that business rolling for yourself. That's a really key part. And
being kind to the people that you work with, and getting to know the person who's behind the scenes, because they might be behind the scenes in that job, but they're in front of the scenes the next job. So everybody matters. Everybody's an important piece of the puzzle.
We hope this has been quick and helpful for you when it comes to figuring out those initial investments, time-wise, financially, stepping forward in the modeling industry.
Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.